Okay, so welcome to our data admin training, part 2. Last week we talked about some of the things that you as data administrators will do to set up the system for your site coordinators, and we're doing all of this in the training database. That was last Thursday. The day after that, you received, I hope you received, an email with the information to log in as a data admin. So a lot of you have been able to try that out, get into the system. I've had a little bit of questions already about certain things, so we can cover that today. But I do recommend if somebody has not logged in yet, to please do so. And if you did not get that email or you're having trouble, please reach out to me directly. Okay. See if I remember my password. And here we go. So this is essentially what you will see as a data administrator. And you can see that it's logging you in right into the administration dashboard. If you'll recall, we have another menu item next to that called case management. And that's essentially what your site coordinators are going to spend their time in. But for now, we'll focus on the administration side of the house. So when you guys first log in, since your affiliates don't really have student data, you might not see these pie charts and tables, but this is going to be what will happen once everybody starts really using the system. These will populate. So first of all, for the data admin dashboard, we have a basic table on the left-hand side called total students enrolled, and that's by school within your affiliate. Or if you're assigned to multiple affiliates, you'll see all of the schools and all of the students. So that's just to give you a snapshot of what's happening in your affiliate or in your state. On the right-hand side are a couple items that we created for you to use. Right now, it's nothing that a user can personalize, so you can't change it exactly to see what you want to see or add new pie charts or things like that. In the future, we can talk about doing that. But for right now, these are going to be the same for everybody, for all of the data admin users. And at some point in the near future, we are going to reach out and ask for feedback on things like this. Because, of course, the data admin dashboard is built for you. And if it's not useful, if it's not information that you like to see, if there's something else that we didn't even think of that would be great, that would just change your life, we definitely want to hear about that. So after you start using the system for a little while, we will gather feedback on things like dashboard items. But just to show you how these kind of work, this one at the top is the total support hours by category. I'm sure you're familiar with the different categories of student supports that we have, academic assistance, behavioral interventions, college and career, etc. And that's all kind of shown here so you can see where the supports are kind of falling. And in this example, there's a lot going on in the category of academic assistance. Now, if I were to click on one of the pie pieces, it will show me the detail information for that particular pie. And I don't remember what one I just clicked on, so I'm going to go back to my admin dashboard. It was professional mental health. It was this green slice right here. And so this takes you down to just the professional mental health services by school, so you can see that information. It might look a little bit weird. I think we are going to see if we can play with the colors a little bit more so that they're distinct. As you can see, there's 3 reds within the same pie, and that's a little difficult to view. Now, in the key or legend, if you click on one of these pie pieces, it'll actually be taken out of the pie. So you can see now my distribution is different because I'm looking at everything but academic assistance. And the other one that we added for you on the data admin dashboard is the total students by intensity level. So there's high case management intensity and moderate case management intensity, as I'm sure you're aware. And this kind of shows you the distribution of the students in your affiliate or your state by those different intensity levels. And again, if you click in one of the pie pieces, you'll see more detailed information about those students in particular. So that is essentially the data admin dashboard. Those are the data visualizations that we created. And as I mentioned last time, you'll see your own icons to do other data admin tasks on this dashboard. So one of the questions that I received so far was about how people are set up as users in the system. So I want to talk for a couple minutes about users in System 2.0. And again, this is the training site. So none of you, unless you were in the pilot, have access to the production site yet. We're going to go to Affiliate School Management on the dashboard. And last week, Martha showed you a lot of things that you can do here, but we're going to focus on users. So where am I? Let's go to the Communities and Schools National Office. And on the gear widget, I have a number of options to see my list of schools, my service providers, and I'm going to click on users. So for you all, when you log into this training site, you'll see yourself as a data admin, and you can see the role right here. Maybe there's a couple of you in your particular affiliate that have been set up as data admins. And then there's going to be a number of site coordinator role users. And they'll just be named something generic like Bradshaw County 1 through Bradshaw County 15. Now if I go to my username and click on the gear widget and look at my own affiliates, you can see that even though I was set up at the national office, and that's my primary affiliate, or state office as the case may be, I'm also assigned to all of these other affiliates. So I would ask that each of you, when you do log in, go to the top right corner of the screen next to your own name and make sure that your organization list reflects all of the affiliates that you should be assigned to. And usually this is for state office folks, but there are some other individuals who might be assigned to only 2 affiliates or only 3 affiliates. So just make sure that you have that option up here. So I don't want it to be too confusing, but right now, if I were to go to one of those other affiliate setup areas and look at the list of users, even though I'm assigned to those affiliates, my name will not show up there. So your name is only going to be on one of these lists. If you're confused by that, or if you're having trouble finding your own account and figuring out how to navigate, please let me know. I know there was some concern about that the other day. And one more thing about users that I wanted to mention is for the site coordinators. I'm going to go into one of these pretend it's a site coordinator, the Bradshaw County 1 through 15. And I think that it might be helpful to you if you're planning to do a training with your site coordinator over the summer, coordinators over the summer or next school year, to actually edit those to be their real names. So you can use the existing ones that we set up for you and change the names so that each of your site coordinators has their own login information for the training site. And as I mentioned before, if you need more than 15 user accounts for your site coordinators or other data administrators, please let us know. You can create new users, and you will be doing that in the production site, and it's very easy, pretty straightforward. You can see right here that you just fill out some basic information and save it. But right now, if you do that in the training site, you won't get all of the access that will be in the production site. So we will inform you of that at a later date. But for right now, you don't have to make any users. You can just ask us to do so. Okay, and now I'm going to turn it over to Martha.
Want to share the?
Oh, sorry.
Me the screen.
All right. Let's see if I can find you on my list. Oh my gosh, why won't this scroll?
All right. Okay. So here we are, just as Gretchen was showing you. When you log in, you will see the administration dashboard, which is kind of your side of the system. What we want to go over are a few things that we have had feedback that can be a little bit confusing for site coordinators, so just kind of tips and tricks for you as you walk through this with your staff. So from the case management side, which again will be where the site coordinators and school level staff will mostly live in the system. They'll mostly be working on this side of the system. I want to go over kind of where things can be edited, because that is something that I think is a little different between old system and the new system. So first I want to go through the student needs assessment. So if you have had a chance to play around, you've probably seen these little toolboxes, as we call them, on the dashboards that kind of launch the main areas of the system. So here is the student needs assessment, and if I click that, it's going to open the full workflow. But this is for one that is already completed. So this is not where you would go to edit it. So if it is already completed and you need to edit it, sorry, the window is over my X.
I might be able to minimize my screen.
Is that better? Okay, so here we are. Oh. Here we are back in the site coordination area. So if we wanted to edit the student needs assessment, we would use this menu here on the left that says Edit Student Needs Assessment. It's pretty clearly labeled, and then these are all of the pages that you can go in and edit if there is something that changes after you've already gone through the full workflow. So I will show you what this looks like. So for now, we'll pull up the student attributes page, and so you can see these for my student. I'm in student's profile named Ray Nichols. That's how you can tell from the top left-hand corner. For this student, you can see that there's a few attributes that have been marked as yes, and many that have been marked as unknown, and a few no's. If we wanted to update any of these, we can use the Add New or Edit button up at the top right, and then we can change whichever of these have changed since we originally filled out the student needs assessment. So that's where you would access any of the edit portions for the student needs assessment. Another thing that we have gotten some questions on is the baseline metrics data. So if you think about this in terms of where you originally input the data, the baseline is done during the goal setting and support planning phase. So that's how you know that this is the area that you want to go to edit it. So here you can see that this student has a full goal setting support plan done, and then also plan supports. But if we want to edit a portion of the support plan, we would be able to do that through these. But if we wanted to edit the baseline, we can simply do that off of the widget here at the end. So if we wanted to edit the baseline attendance, this would show up. It's going to look very similar to what it looks like in the actual workflow, and we could open up that area and just change what this actually looked like. And then you see for attendance, this has an auto calculation for the baseline, so that changed it to a 92% attendance rate. And you hit save, and then your goal, your support plan has been updated. So the other area we wanted to show you today in terms of editing is in the school needs assessment. So we are going to go to the site coordination dashboard, since now we're talking at the school level and not a specific student, and we'll go into the school needs assessment area. All right, so this will not look like this for you all. This will show any of the affiliates that you have access to. So for us at National, we have access to quite a few, so that's why this list is so long. But for now, we're just going to go to this school CIS provider. So there's two things to notice here. You can see that there are, first of all, there's two needs assessments and support plans that have been at least started here for this school. This is not what we generally want. We only want one per school. So there is the option to delete it, which you can do off of this widget. You'll notice that most things in terms of deleting and editing can often be found off of these widgets in the system. So you'll probably get very accustomed to looking there for a lot of these edit and delete options. So we're just going to delete this extra one since we only want one. All right, and then we're left with this one. So if we want to edit part of this student needs assessment, let's say we wanted to edit the demographics because we mistyped something or got additional information after we had input it. So we're going to go in and we can just simply edit it. This is the same exact way it will look when you're in the workflow. So it should look very familiar, and you can just go in and edit whatever it is that you realized was incorrect. So let's say for now that this enrollment is actually 1,000. And then you'll see that some of these numbers changed. You will notice that we are collecting demographic information at the school level slightly differently to try to help folks be able to enter all different types of data, because we know that schools often provide numbers. Some of the times affiliates only have access to percentages. So because of that, we wanted to allow everybody to be able to put in the data that they did have regarding their school demographics. So what we are asking for is the percentage of students within the gender and within the race. So what you'll see over here as a quick kind of check of yourself is the estimated number. So it's just taking whatever your enrollment is, and it's figuring out what the percentage of that is. So you can see 30% of 1,000 is 300. So these very similar will all need to add up to 100%. That's pretty straightforward. But we are capturing the information slightly differently. So we do know that for those that do get numbers, what will need to be, the percentages will need to be calculated if you do not have those. But we're hoping that this will allow more schools to be able to include their most accurate data here. So that is where you go to access the edit for all of the school needs assessment areas.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to take the presenter thing back. There you go. Works? Okay. Okay. Thanks, Martha. I got a few questions in the chat box that I thought I could address quickly. Whoops. And I clicked on the chat box and it took me to there. Alrighty. Okay. So one person wanted to know about state office kind of specific stuff. And essentially, right now, you will have access, if you are at the state office, to all of the affiliates underneath your state office. If there are state offices that have an embedded model or serving students directly, all of that will be, functionally set up in the system. Previously in SysDome, there was really not much functionality at all for a state office. You couldn't see any of the data, really, of your affiliates. You had to go to each affiliate separately. So we've at least fixed that situation. As I mentioned before, if you're in the state office, you can go to each of these affiliates here. And then in the reporting section, you'll be able to pull reports for all of your affiliates under your own username. Let's see what's good. And they should be all listed here. What are my other points about the state office? Oh, yes. And when you do toggle to a different, I always call it toggle because that's what it was called in all the systems. If you do go to a different affiliate up at the top here, then whenever you're looking at data entry or edit forms, you'll see a drop-down of the schools that are only within that affiliate. So that's where you'll be able to tell, how the affiliates and schools are set up. I'm like highlighting things. My computer's going nuts. Somebody also asked about the number of data admins that you can have. And really, I limited it to 2 per affiliate only because of the way that we had to set up users in the training site. And so it was just going to be a lot easier to keep it to a very small number. In the production site, we will be bringing over usernames from SysDom, so anybody who is already in there at the affiliate level will be a data admin, will have the data admin role in this system, and then site coordinators will have the site coordinator role, so you won't have to worry about that as much. But in the training site, certainly if you need more users, please reach out to us and we can create more data admins for you. A couple of the questions, I think there might be just something off in the training site or something that wasn't set up correctly or something. So we'll have to look into that if there's a glitch with the school year not appearing in a drop-down. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. That is not something that I think is purposeful. So we will let you know if that is addressed. The school year is not being appearing in a drop-down menu. Okay. I guess those are the main questions that we've had so far. I was actually wondering, as Martha mentioned, we kind of picked out a few topics that we have found throughout the pilot to be a little bit more confusing to some site coordinators, something that you guys might want to keep in mind so that you can remind your site coordinators where to find things and edit certain things. I was wondering if anybody on the call who was in the pilot, because I think there are a few of you here, has any other suggestions for things that maybe your site coordinator struggled with, or something that we changed during the year that was really helpful and that would be good for us to kind of bring to other data admins' attention for them to be able to support their site coordinators. I know that big gray box is appearing there in my chat box. So if you were in the pilot, feel free to write anything in the chat box that you think we should mention. Of course, there's a lot more to this system than what we've already shown you. The site coordinator trainings will be accessible to everybody, so if you want to participate in all of those, of course, feel free. And that will be, very specific how exactly to enter a school needs assessment and how to enter a Tier 1 support and things like that. So all of that information will be part of what you also learn this summer. Regarding that, the timeline of our release has been adjusted slightly. We will give you specifics whenever we have them, but essentially we will not be able to open up production to the site coordinators on June 5th like we originally anticipated. However, all of the trainings are still going to occur as expected. So I sent out it was a PowerPoint slide with all of the site coordinator trainings on it for June and through early July. All of those are still going to occur. And a lot of you have said that you're not going to release the production site to your site coordinators until much later in the summer or early school year anyway. So I'm hoping that will not be an issue for you. So you will still have access to the training site. Your site coordinators can still be trained and start using the training site. But the data migration over from SysDom and the setup of users in the production site will be a little bit later than June 5th. And Judy has validated us by saying that editing was actually their biggest hurdle during the pilot, so that was a good thing for us to mention. Is there anything else that's like editing is weird or something that's hard to find? I know now we at the national office know how to find everything, right? But
I can make a suggestion.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I think one of the big things that used to trip people up was the table queries. That some of these tables are actually links to things, so like supports and case notes and stuff like that, that you can interact with some of the tables and interact with the graphics and the visualizations. So that's one thing.
I don't have any data here to show that.
You can switch students.
I don't know if I have, let's see. Let's find a different student. Who should I look for?
Tommy Pickles.
Is he in here? Is he in
Yeah,
here?
yeah, he should be in there.
Okay, gotcha. There we go. Okay, yeah, this looks fun whenever you actually have real data. All right, so would you like to give me an example?
So like supports,
Okay.
like tier 2, 3.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so Edson has suggested that I mention this to you guys because sometimes site coordinators or data admins, whoever, they weren't really aware of what would happen with these tables that are actually queries. It looks like just, standard table. You can see the last 5 supports. But if you actually click on that table, you'll be able to go to the place where all of the supports that are pulling into that table are listed. So similar to the pie chart, when we clicked in and got to the detailed information, these tables are set up as queries too. They're not just static. And of course, they're updating in real time. So for example, the 5 most recent supports, if we entered one right now, that would be at the top, is the one from May 25th for the student. And I don't know, we might not have mentioned the checklist items to the data admins before, but this is something that we added just very recently to the system. And it's a way for you to be able to see, you as a user, whoever that might be, whether the student needs assessment and student support plan were completed for this particular student. And then at the site coordinator dashboard level, you'll be able to see for all of your students which portion were completed and not completed for both the needs assessment and the support plan. And we're going to be adding that to the data admin dashboard as well, aggregating up to your level. You'll be able to see something similar to this bar chart.
You want to click inside one of those?
Ooh, there are all the students that have a complete or incomplete student support plan or needs assessment. And again, I can see all of the schools that are within my affiliates. I think other things popped up in the chat box.
I also linked
Okay.
link all the affiliates to that program school year. So that program, that school year.
Oh, you just did it? Okay. So Edson has informed me that he has fixed the situation with the school year. I think 3 of you actually mentioned that in the chat box, which makes me really happy because that means that you already logged in and are trying to use the system. So that's awesome. So if you go back in and try to enter a support or whatever you were doing before where the school year wasn't showing up, it should show the 2016-2017 school year right now. We will be creating the 17-18 school year over the summer, pretty much like we did before in Legacy system. I can't make this small and out of the way, so it's just like a floating gray box. I'm sorry about that. Somebody asked if we can still import metrics using Excel. Yes, our importing features are not fully available right now in the training site, so I can't demonstrate how to do that, but that is definitely something that we will get the data admins trained up on, and we will be importing a variety of things, but metrics is going to be the big one, I'm pretty sure.
Those templates.
We'll also provide the ability to import provide the providers. And templates that you'll need to use will be made available to you. But yeah, we'll definitely have a training just on importing to make sure that everybody knows how to do that. And somebody asked about inactivating case managed students. Yeah, that might be something that site coordinators are not or might get a little bit confused about too. In legacy system, you could kind of inactivate students and move them off of your current caseload, and then you can also kind of exit them for the year by moving them up to the next school year. But in this system, we have a process of exiting their enrollment. So essentially, they're going to be considered active, what we call really just enrolled, that's their current status, until you end their enrollment in this school year. And for most students, that's going to happen at the end of the year. If they transfer to another school or leave CIS for another reason, of course, it could happen earlier. But essentially, that's going to be accessed through the student dashboard on this icon called Student Enrollment/Exit. And who is this? Tommy Pickles? Oh, I don't want to get rid of Tommy. But like many things, you can see the gear widget right next to the line item. And so you'll be able to see if he has previous enrollments as well. So for this school year, 2016-2017, he is currently enrolled, and it's called, his status is enrolled, and you can see that it's open. He has not been exited. But if you did want to exit the student, we'll have a process to do that through the gear widget here. And I'm not going to actually exit him. But so this is similar to what you would do before for entering the end of year status, whether the student graduated or was promoted or whatever. And then the end date is going to default to today. You can change it to another date if he actually left 2 weeks ago, what have you. But then at that point, he will be considered exited. And so in the reports, you'll be able to run those, going back to the data admin dashboard into the reporting area. You'll be able to run these reports for students that are enrolled or exited if you don't want to have everybody included. So it would just include the enrolled students, for example. Yes, Edson.
Just going back to that enrollment exit page, there's an option for delete. That, just so you guys are aware, that doesn't delete the student, that deletes the enrollment.
We're not going to let them delete students, right? Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Gotcha.
Yeah, and so just so there's no confusion there, that doesn't delete a student.
Right, yes. So Edson is making the point, I'll go back to it, that when you saw the option to delete, that's just going to delete the enrollment. If for some reason you had inadvertently put a student on the caseload this year and didn't mean to do that, then it will delete their enrollment, but the student will still exist in the system. He just won't be considered current for this school year, essentially. That's a good point. What was I just going to do? And I forgot. My brain. Oh, yes. Oh, jeez. I was going to show when things can be exported to Excel. What's a good example of that?
I would just go ahead and click on Tier 1 support right there. We can show them 2 places.
Okay, so I clicked on the summary, the query for the 5 most recent Tier 1 supports or whatever it was, so that I now am at the entire list of Tier 1 supports for this school year. And then in the upper right, there is a little teardrop or raindrop, depending on your outlook on life, I suppose. And you can choose to actually export this table to Excel. So that might be something that is useful to you guys. So you don't have to run a full report. You can just right from here get that information into a, hopefully, easy to use format. So this shows you all of the information. Well, okay, Excel doesn't want me to use it, but theoretically. So yeah, that's a nice additional little feature. I'm trying to look through the chat box to see if there's any other specific areas that people are curious about. Yes, student goal achievement being completed before the exit. Good thing to remind people of, and of course this will be included in the site coordinator training, but all of the progress monitoring throughout the school year should be done, of course, every grading period, and then at the very end of the school year, you will be doing, or when a student leaves your caseload, you will be doing goal achievement, and that is before a student is officially exited. So make sure everything else is up to date. You know, all their supports have been entered, their needs assessment and support plans, everything's complete, everything's perfect for the year before you go ahead and exit that student. This is probably not the right one. Somebody asked if you can do multiple exits in case a student leaves and then returns again. And yeah, you can, essentially we would call it enrolling and exiting and then re-enrolling the student. So you'll be able to see over time, even if it's within the same school year, when a student was being served by communities and schools. That was one of the reasons that we went with this system, because it really seems like we will be able to track data over time for students that are in your affiliates or across, you know, in the whole state or however we want to look at it, which we weren't able to do before. So I'm really excited about that possibility. Once we have a couple years of data in there, we'll be able to see students over a longer period of time, really. I guess I kind of turned this into an office hours, but I want to make sure if there's certain things that people are curious about that we can hopefully address those. Because hopefully you agree that the data admin side of the system is pretty straightforward. The tasks that we kind of showed you how to do should be you know, easy enough to get the hang of. So there aren't a lot of other things in the system that you have to do as a data admin specifically. A lot of it is now going to be supporting your site coordinators and making sure that they know where they have to find things and what tasks they have to perform. But I'm sure you'll be in the reporting section of the system a lot to run those reports and summaries.
Do you have the site coordinator role?
Just
wanted to show them the difference in what they see in their little wrench, the administration versus what site coordinators see.
So I have now switched over to the site coordinator role so that we can show you what that would look like if I were a site coordinator. Now the site coordinator dashboard and the student dashboard, those are really going to look the same as when you saw them as a data admin. But if I go to the administration side of the house, that little wrench up in the top, you'll see that they only have access to reporting. So they won't be, you know, looking at affiliate profiles or adding users or setting up providers or anything like that. They're really just going to go here for the reports. And this is not the entire list of reports they will have access to, but as of right now, there are 5. Soon there will be 7. Somebody asked about how the system handles students transferring from one CIS school to another. And there is the option to transfer students within your affiliate. Right now, we don't have anything that's kind of shared outside of an affiliate. Of course, you'll be able to see everything in all of the affiliates you're assigned to, but we won't have students moving from one to the other. Do we want to show student transfer? Is it ready?
So no, yeah. So just so everyone understands, and I know we were discussing enrollment earlier. So student transfers would require the student to be exited out of their current enrollment in that school year because they're attached to that school and the supports that were provided there, and to a case manager. Once that student's exited, they can do the student transfer. This is for, at least at the moment, data admin only. So you'll be working with your site coordinator to perform that transfer to make sure that process is followed. And then the new school would be would pick up that student, so that site coordinator would find it in their Find Student search, and then enroll and assign themselves or someone else as the case manager or site coordinator. So that's how student transfer works in between schools within the same affiliate.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and so students can be moved across schools when necessary, and we will be much more detailed when we show that process, how to, like, what information is going to be viewed where, and then of course moving from one school year to another, students can be found, you know, from the previous year's middle school if you want to move them up to the high school, that kind of thing. Right now, somebody asked why the student transfer is only for data admins. Right now, there are a few items that we are reserving for data admins just to make sure that things, at least now that people are just learning the system, that things kind of stay clean and people don't accidentally do something that will could potentially screw up data a little bit or make it harder to change that student back to like where they were before, things like that. So the student transfer is admin only. We aren't giving people the option to just delete whole student records, just in case, you know, that was accidentally done and all of your data was lost. So, but most other basic functionality should be available to the site coordinators and then, of course, the data admins.
Yeah, it's pretty few things are data admin only.
There's a couple other questions. I'm not like purposefully trying to ignore you. They seem like really specific, so I think I should just kind of like write down the list of additional questions that we can keep in mind for future trainings, or I can reach out to you individually and try to explain it. But I don't want to get too into the weeds about very specific circumstances right now. Let's see. I think that I hit most of them. Is there anything else, Edson, that you think would be good for data admins in particular to know before they start, you know, viewing the site coordinator level trainings and things like that?
Have you talked about the summaries and the reporting dashboard? Like the affiliate level summaries?
Yeah, we did a little bit.
So, you know, we talked a little bit about the two differences between the administration dashboard and then what the site coordinator dashboard offers. Really the biggest, you know, wholesale difference is within reporting. So you guys can see that specifically in reporting, they have those same top 5 affiliate level reports, which are canned reports, and that they can drill down to their specific school. Like that, those will be the only schools available to them to run the report on anyways. For the data admins, what we've done is not only created or giving you access to the canned reports with all the schools listed, but also allowing you to run kind of some specific summaries, and we'll continue to build these out as the system matures. But it allows you to run something like, what are the student assets in my affiliate type of summary, and you can export that out very quickly. Again, summaries within system, the new system are direct hits to the database, so active entries count towards every time you hit search, for example. So if you hit search 10 minutes ago, someone made an update, then you hit it again, and that you know, the hit that submission was already made, then you'll see it within that within the pool, within that query pool, and then you can export out again. I would say honestly, the system allows you to export a lot of information. Most forms that you're looking at are exportable, not only via Excel, but also other manners. So what we're looking at, the dashboards, for example, if you wanted to print out your entire dashboard, you could. And even for reporting, there are other options. So if we look at the canned reports in there, once you have some data to look at, you can actually export about 4 or 5 different formats outside of Excel, PDF, HTML, things like that. So those are some things to kind of think about. as you start working in the production site specifically, that we don't intend that the data admins would be looking at individual student records so much as they would be looking at more of the aggregate view of data. And so again, we've tried to make that as easy as possible for you guys to have the data in front of you and be able to export it out and manipulate it however you want.
Cool. The TQS data report is coming. That's one of the 7. We are currently the developers are working on the TQS data report and the progress monitoring report. So those will be the next up, I guess, in addition to these 5.